All right, hey, what's up, everybody? So, my name is Marcus Oliver, and today I'll be your host, and I'll be talking about mastering basketball fundamentals as a high school basketball player in today's age. And I've been in and around basketball for over 25 years. Um, So the difference in between how I teach basketball, how I believe basketball is that it's not done a way. It's not done a specific way. It's not done my way. It's not done his way, her way, the referee's way. It's a concept in basketball that can elevate and flip the switch for any player once you truly understand the background and dynamics behind it so then you can push your player to start reacting in front of it. The whole concept in any goal or position where you're at in basketball, whether you're in middle school, high school, and by the way, this podcast is for basketball gurus, parents that need to understand the information behind basketball in order to push a player. Now, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything, but I am going to prove to you some things today while I go over the overall general concept of basketball. Most people do not understand it. Most people don't understand it. They see it, and if you take everything by what you see, you're going to lay on the average. The highest you're going to go is the average because it's so many players. Now, I'm going to explain to you the concepts of the different types of leagues because at the end of the day, that's where you're trying to get, right? So, understanding the leagues and how they're built and what your players going to need to do to get in them is essential, especially in the beginning, like coming up, right? So, I'm going to give you the information, I'm going to hand it right on out to you. And it's understandable. That's the thing about it. Basketball is a dynamic game where everything's moving just like life, but it's moving so much faster because we sprint down the court and we making all these decisions. But at the end of the day, it comes back to what your player understands about the game that's going to give them the advantage in all these different situations that's happening. Because if you go and try to pinpoint all these different situations, there's no way you're gonna run a game. It's conceptual. So let's get started. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. And on how I'm going to do this, I'm going to create a PowerPoint. I'm just going to take the time to create a PowerPoint. I guess I'll go here. I just want to share the whole screen, actually, entire screen. Yeah. Here I want to go to Canva. I'm going to go to presentation. This a blank presentation. We'll do clean pitch deck right here. Yeah, and we'll name it. Um, so um, I'm doing this because you can just fast forward through if you want to. But at the end of the day, I'm going to post this in the link below, and I'm also doing this for like rapport, and it's live. So a lot of times people do like pre-recorded content, but at the end of the day, I growing up, what made me different was when I was young, my pops was teaching me concepts and fundamentals. So when I got to about 10, 12 years old, I was looking at the game, all right, connecting drills to what's happening in the game. And a lot of players don't do that now. So it's not just about playing basketball that's going to give you an advantage at all. But it's about understanding that's going to give you the control and intention behind what you're doing. If I do it between cross, the skill or the amount of skill that I need to fake this way, even though I know I'm going back this way, and then the amount of skill I need to execute to go back this way in the least amount of time. Because if I can make this time gap the smallest, then I'm going to have this much of a gap as an advantage going to the hoop and beating help side and having that clear delineation on the next decision. But if I take too much time here, all of this is going to be too tight. All of this is going to be too tight. So here we go. We're going to name this fundamental basketball. Let's just start here. All right. So let's do an overview. So as far as the overview, um, this is what I like to do because we are in the age of ChatGPT, and I don't have to do any work actually. But what you're gonna do is I'm gonna give you this information. You're gonna hear exactly how basketball is built, and it's gonna be crazy. All right. So at the end of the day, we have two sides of basketball. You have street ball, and then you have fundamental basketball. And even though the fundamental side of basketball is supposed to be what it is, it's not technically it's still street ball when you talk about high school basketball leagues. All right. So when we talk about the leagues, let's start with an overview of basketball. So basketball is a sport. It's a sport, and you have two sides. You have offense and defense. The offense is going to try to do anything they can do to score because at the end of the day, they have a coach behind them. They have their goals behind them. They want to go to college. They want to score 20 points. They want to look good. They got all these different things they want to do. So they're going to do anything they can to get that ball in the hoop every single time they shoot the ball. The defense is going to do anything they can do to stop the ball from same thing. Like they don't want to be scored on. You know the whole. So you get the point. So it's this big tug of war at the end of the day. So average is the tug of war. If you're doing this, that's what you call average. Like that's up and down. That's the roller coaster that people talk about. Roller coaster. Like you just got ups and downs. You score 12 points, now you're good. You score 6 points, you're good. You don't score at all. You don't play. You get 6 minutes, you're good. Like all these different goals that players have that bring them up and down. So when you talk about the different leagues, the leagues are separated and differentiated mostly 100% off of pace. And what that does to the rest of the other elements is that it makes them have to react faster. So now you have to move faster. That means you need more speed. Now you have to react faster sometimes, which means you have to be know and see have your head up because when things change faster, now the skill has to match, the speed has to match, the quickness has to match, the fundamental has to match because at the end of the day, if you do it too high, it still might be a steal. It might be a pass. So all these different things have to start matching that one little element that changes, which is speed. And at the high school course is faster than middle school. College is faster than high school. Pros is faster than um high school. I'm college. So when you go back to high school, the next differences, biggest differences are going to be like the calls, like getting your player ready for moving at that speed and staying legal, not getting travels, not getting like pivoting and all of that. To you, your goal in basketball is to have two sides, black and white. All right, progressive, regressive, good, bad, legal, not legal, made shot, missed shot. Like all of these, you just want two sides to everything because you don't want to consider eight, nine different decisions every single time you have to make one, and which is every step. Every step in basketball is a decision. So you want to be able to minimize your decisions and make the best one. Choose good, right? So you want to train your player on this. That's the goal. Um, let's start with if I had to talk about overview of basketball, it's going to start with understanding that you're preparing your player to be responsible in the game in a position. So you have your positions. Let's go over 5 positions in basketball, roles and responsibilities. Right here, so you know what I'm talking about. All right, great. No, we're not gonna use these. All right. So at the end of the day, you have your point guard. You have your point guard. So your point guard is yes, floor general coaches on the court. Perfect. So floor general coaches on the court. They're gonna start your offense. They have the basketball and they're making the decisions on your big blocks in the game. So if you're looking at your big blocks in the game, which we're gonna actually explain first, parts of basketball. So if you're a player, you have to understand what part of basketball is where and what drills now pertain to what side of basketball. So the four parts of basketball is going to be, so you have offense and defense, right? But we know those are just the two sides. So now you have to break those, each one of those into transition, set, zone, and press. All right. If you know this transition zone, set, and press. You're talking about transition offense or defense, transition zone, I mean zone, offense or defense, set offense or defense, or press offense or defense. All of those are dictated on the defense. If the defense don't get back fast enough, then they're gonna go in transition and somebody gonna be open and they gonna have opportunities, advantages. Set, if they get back and they set up, then that means you should run set offense. You see how now you have a clear delineation on the decision as a point guard or as a shooting guard. I don't care who you are. If you get the ball and the defense already back, now that you come down the court, you just looking waiting to set up the offense. Simple as that. So as a player, first and foremost, you have four parts of basketball or coach. So this is for player, coach, parent, doesn't matter. Because you have to understand the game in order to take advantage. If you're not taking advantage of the game. All right, so also let's go over how the game is set up. I'm not gonna put this in the PowerPoint, so it's advantage and watch the video, but this is how basketball is set up each league. And high school. High school is open. They're making so many more high schools where you can get on on a basketball team technically. But when it comes to college and professional, first we all can we can all imagine the amount of slots that they have every year. It's not that many, right? On each team. Now they have a lot of colleges, so but they have the portal and they you just talking about slots for incoming freshmen, 4 to 5 spots. Maybe. Like that's being super generous, right? And the thing about it is politics is one of the biggest things that's happening right now in the game. And the reason why it's happening in the game is because you have coaches that need to understand this information. You have and the reason why I know what I'm saying here is because when you go watch college basketball, the only delineation and the only decision making you can see that has been done is based on what they're doing on the court. The players on the court are doing what they've been trained to do in practice for the last whatever amount of time they had in practice. This big gap, all right, preseason. All right. Now we're at the actual season where they're going to do habitually what they've been trained to do in the game. Now, the person responsible for what they're doing in this preseason, we all know is the coach slash coaches. So when it comes down to responsibility in the hierarchy in basketball, we have to understand that and place things where they're supposed to be as well, because that's also messed up within the industry and within a lot of basketball gurus methodology and the thought process, because it comes down to what you think and it's going to take in action what you do. The hierarchy comes like that. So we look at the players because that's what we see, and that's what I started with. We can't just go off what we see. We see what the players do. They look scrambled. They look like they're struggling, and they're struggling because of what they've been trained to do over here. All right. So if we fix this preseason era, this these processes, these beliefs, the safeguards on defense, if we actually get a system that is complete. So in math, when you work with matrices, right? If we do 1 plus 0, we have two pieces of information, or 1A plus 0B equals 0. We have two pieces of information. We know that one apple equal an apple equaled $1, but they didn't have any bananas. So that equal it should have been $2. All right. So let's say that we come down to the second equation, we have one apple and we add it and it say plus one banana, and we say it equals two bananas again, $2 again. Well, that's incomplete because we just had one apple that equaled $2. So now there's no way it contradicts each other because there's no way that if we add a banana that it should still be $2, right? There's had to be something wrong somewhere. Either there was something wrong with the cash, the change back, or the charge enough, or whatever the case, it wasn't charged for the banana. But at the end of the day, the system is contradicts each other. So when we look at systems, we have to look at where it starts, where the responsibility starts, and then we can analyze what's happening on the court. So that's that. So the four parts of basketball we know are set, transition, zone, and press. The four parts of basketball are dictated by the defense. So it's up to the offense to see and take advantage when it's there. Now, we already talked about the differences in between each league. That's going to be pace. That's one of the biggest differences. So if the defense is getting back faster or the defense is faster in general, we're going to need something to account for that. So now let's get into the most important part. As you go from middle school to high school, you may or may not be responsible for playing within a system, right? So in basketball, your job as a player is to be as versatile as possible. You don't know what position you're gonna be in when you go to a new team. You're not gonna know what the coach sees in you when you go to a new team. But when you go to a new team, you also have different advantages as well for the same thing. You don't know what a coach is gonna see in you when you go to a new team. So if you have been working on your shot, if you have been working on your weakness, this is not the time to shy away from them, right? This is the time to go ahead and go for them, right? Because this new coach may be like, all right, well, this player is this player is that. You never know what they're going to see in you. But your goal is to be as versatile as possible. If they put you at a position, they put you here, they put you there. You need to be ready to play that position. And the reason some of most people not ready to play the position because when the coach is talking just to them, that's when you are listening. No, when you're on the court or even on the sideline and action is happening, you need to be looking in for pass corrections. You need to be looking for um the correction. When the coach go to make the correction, you should already know it. Like these things are essential, whether it's for you or whether it's for anyone else on the court. All corrections on the court are meant for you as a player because this insight on what's happening in the system. It's insight on what this person's supposed to be doing and how it's affecting what your role is. So you might be going here to set a screen here, rolling and coming off to do da 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 da, da, but somebody else is doing something that's designed to clearly go into what you're doing because it's all one play. So um when you talk about moving from these freelance or more open systems, which you still might be playing in a high school, but you might be playing in a constricted type system where you need to be running the play. That's the best type of system. That's the best type of system when it's a complete system. A complete system where you have two pieces of information in your second equation. You have a apple plus a banana now equals five. Well, you now know the banana is $2 and the apple is $2 and the banana is $3. That's the only way that in the first equation we learned that the apple was $2 because one apple plus zero bananas equal $2. But now in this second equation, we have a new piece of information that one banana now equal three more dollars than that first equation. So that's a complete system, right? And when you play in the complete system, everybody knows where they're supposed to be, which creates space on the court to take advantage of different things. When you play in a complete system, you understand the general concept. It's not one pass and shoot the ball. You have to give the system a chance because we're looking for the best shot. As a basketball player, you have to understand. And when you understand, then you can do. I'm going to be real repetitive when I teach because it's it's flatline like basketball. Like it's what we see, but now you got to take those into a conceptual format and learn the fundamentals behind them. And we got to get to that mental part. So when you get to that mental part, it's going to give you the control to take advantage of what you see. All right, so let's talk about set. The difference between set and transition is transition you have more open space. Set you have 10 people packed into the the 3 point line. So as a coach, the question becomes why would you want a freelance system in high school or college or in any league in basketball? Because in set, that's the most packed in that the court is. The players don't know what they're going to do if it's freelance. They don't know where to be next, right? And all they can be is reactive in those moments, right? But if you have an organized system that they're running, everybody has space. They know what's going to happen next rather than the defender, right? And even if they play different variations off of the set, that's perfectly fine because again, they're so used to the set. So freelance open systems first and foremost shows a lack of almost like understanding, and what it does is back to this hierarchy, it goes back and causes confusion on the court. It causes confusion, this right here, all throughout the season. So when you have those championship teams that you know they have the talent and they don't make it and they just are upset, that's what the cause is. When you have no talent and they just getting purely destroyed, that's what the causes. If you go back and look at the history of those programs, you don't see a clear line that goes up. And that's what fundamental is going to bring. It requires consistency. It requires you to consistently respect that one or two line. And when you respect that one or two line, that means you're respecting the game of basketball and how it is designed. So when you shoot the basketball, it's one or two lines there. When your foot is almost on the line to nip it, and that referee stay out of bounds, one or two lines. Basketball is telling us, not me. I'm not telling you this. I'm explaining to you what basketball is telling us based on what the game is. Now, we see these things, but conceptually, the game is telling us more. All right. So the same way the game says is one or two, you have to do the same thing in your player. So you have to start incorporating game concepts into your player in order for you to be able to take advantage of these situations. Meaning that when you in training and the concept is touch the line on suicides, your foot have to hit the line. You have to push your player to hit that line every time, whether you being held to it or not, right? Because now you respecting basketball. That's a whole different standard than your coaching standard. sometimes. That's a whole different standard than maybe your trainer standard, right? Same thing when you lower the basketball, being low with the basketball when you dribbling. That's a concept you don't see today. But you say you want to stand out. The concept of being low is, I'll tell you right now, the ball needs to be low, meaning below your knee, and you need to be low. So when you low and the ball low, you have more control over the basketball. Simply put, all right? One or two. Either the ball is above your knee or it's below your knee. Either you're low or you're not low. What is low? All right, low is meeting that black and white standard. That's all I can tell you. Be as low as possible to meet the standard. When you're low as possible, when you're doing your moves, change your direction, head up, head up is another standard. That's black or white. That's not right here, and I can see down here. I can gaze down here. That's not head up, right? A head up means that I can analyze and see the defenders running at me and respond because I can see I can feel off their footwork too. All of that you get experience with as you start respecting the actual concepts and principles of the game. The head up ain't head up just to have your chin up, just to have your chin up. Like your chin up don't give you advantage. No, it's head up so you can see what's happening every frame second of happening and take advantage of what's going to happen next. That I mean, if you see the movie, you watching a movie, you watching the game, the ball is being swung. Where you think on the ball going to go next? Over here, over there, or back over there? If you look back over here, like that's what's happening. But if you gotta look down and dribble, you there's no way you're gonna see that whole movie because as the pace gets faster, it's gonna require more skill. Here, all right. So let's talk about set, transition, zone, and press. So we have five positions and we have these four parts. So all five of these positions responsible for different things. Let me talk about my post because I'm a post player. So I guess we're not gonna get forward to this presentation. I thought it was a good idea, but a post you all you can't split the two. You cannot split the two. It has to be one or the other. Okay. And what's happening here is you got on a good progressive side, you're a power forward and you're a center. You have power forward responsibilities. You have center responsibilities. I'm not even talking about just the player because hierarchy. Talking about y'all coaches, right? I'm talking about how y'all pushing these posts to be guards, right? On the other side, you have counterproductive, right? You have regressive. You have um, requires too much more time than you actually have. So you splitting the difference, working on 3 pointers before you know a post move. You splitting the difference before you going for blocks before you able to take charges. All of these things, you splitting the difference when you don't know how to play post defense. You splitting the difference when you don't know how to play pick and rolls. You splitting the difference when you don't understand your role down low before you even think about going out here to the guard position. Because what happened is we put you at the guard position. Okay, we when do you get the ability to shoot in the game? All the time? No. Okay, so what are you doing them other times? How effective are you defensively on the wing? Not because you splitting the difference. You don't have the footwork. You weren't working on the footwork all your life to be a guard, right? You split the difference. They put you down here, you was down here. You don't got the footwork down here because you was out here. So you have to be a beast down here before you start working on stuff down here. And there are no the beasts are being delineated because y'all believe that this was it. And not even working truly on this right here, not even being low with the ball. Yes, it requires you to do like okay. So for a guard to be low, they already short, and to be low with the ball, it gives them that advantage. You taller. I did this. That's why I'm teaching it, right? And I can teach it. It requires more for a taller person to get low with the ball and have their head up and be low with the ball. Low with the ball including those two things, the ball being low and the player for them to come down to a guard position, which you have to do in order to take advantage. Now, you have to do in training in order to get it out in the game. All right. So what you see people doing in the game in training, I guarantee you they're not up here with it, right? You can watch the videos all you want to, but I guarantee you in the summertime when they're doing it, they down low with the ball. I mean, it's absolutely necessary. But even the players you see that aren't, they struggle but with ball handling and getting to the rack because of not being low with the ball. So you can see how it's going to count each other either way. All right, so um to guards, you got to understand that yes, it is a lot of guards. It's a huge amount, lot of guards in the market, right? It's a lot of guards in the market. How are you going to get the spot over all the other guards? First and foremost, you have to understand that it's a complete game. Okay. So for guards, I'm going to give you all the pull on separating your player. In all aspects of basketball, you have different sectors of competition. So whether you talk about one-on-one defense, whether you're talking about rebounding, whether you talking about um, team defense, whether you talking about because sometimes you're going to rotate over from your man, it's going to swing back to your man, and that's not going to be your responsibility. He's still going to score, but that has nothing. You still play that team role, right? So your team responsibility, you're like getting switched onto a big man. That's a skill, right? That can set you apart because if you're a guard and you're a role player, but when you get but the system requires you get system requires you to get switched on a big man and you know how to do it skillfully, that's an advantage. Without fouling and do it skillfully, that's what I mean fundamentally. And there are fundamental techniques for guards to stop big men for sure. All right. That's the design of basketball. So basketball is meant to give any player an opportunity to go to the next level, to set themselves apart. Now it's a very opinionated game, right? But at the end of the day, that's how far you have to separate yourself. Basketball is about the depth over the average. It's about how much more over the average that you know that you're doing, that's incorporated into your player, and now that you're consistently putting into a team that you're showing, right? Whether that's rebounding, whether that's scoring, whether that's controlling the team, whether that's driving. It doesn't matter what it is, but the truth about it is the combination of those things is what's going to set your player apart. Now, when you look at your three basic skills, passing, shooting, and dribbling, most people be like, "Oh, like shooting is what's going to set you apart," but that's based on what people see, right? You go look at the NBA and everybody's shooting. Stupid, right? Like that is the biggest myth, illusion in basketball. That's the biggest illusion in basketball right now. Is the shot is going to set your player more apart than the other two skills, right? Now, passing the shot is secondary to dribbling. And that's proven in the game conceptually. First of all, the dribble happens more than any shot, hands down. I mean, at the end of the day, like players over dribble all the time, but that has nothing to do with effectively dribbling and the dribble being compared to the shot. Dribbling, when first of all, you have the ball when you're dribbling. The person with the ball, everybody in the gym is watching. So if you making consistently good decisions with the ball, dribbling requires dribbling, that's going to set you apart. Like that's just if you believe the concept rather than what you see, you can clearly understand that the concept is so much more stronger and stable than what you looking at. Because what I be looking at in the league are a lot of missed shots. Um, but conceptually, again, with the basketball, when you're dribbling, what are you doing? What is the goal of what you should be doing? If you're going toward the goal, then you're becoming more of a threat at any point in time in basketball. The goal of the defense is to keep you away from the goal. You're going towards the goal, you're a threat. You're being seen as a threat. All right. So the concept of basketball hold so much stronger than what you see. What you see is the average. It's going to bring you up to the average if you push hard enough, right? But adding on the concepts that are clear in basketball that basketball teaches us is going to like exponentially differentiate your player because understanding these moments is going to give you an additive reason on why you moving in this direction, and that's going to add to speed, that's going to add to quickness, that's going to add to all these other elements that are attached. But it comes first in understanding your role, right? So back to street ball versus um fundamental basketball. Fundamental basketball is going to make sure that it's going to require you to be somewhere. Where, what, how, why, when. It's you're going to have to be somewhere. You're going to need to know what to do, when to be there, why you there, how to get there, and what to do when you get there. All of these questions you're going to need to know how to do in every single instance, whether it's going to set a screen, whether it's coming off a screen, whether it's drilling the ball over here, whether it's a handoff, whether it's a down screen, whether it's an up screen, whether it's I mean, like every single action requires a pre-action to move the defense in order to take the action with the best possible outcome. And in basketball, it comes down to the most simplest thing. You everything back down to the simplest. For offense, we're looking for the highest percent shot, the best shot on the court. Run the offense and get the best shot every single time we run set offense. Coaches, right, and players. Once you understand this, that's what you need to start telling your team. This is what we have to do. When we get to transition, being disciplined enough to be like, all right, we don't have anything. It's clear looking at here with our head up that we don't have anything. We're gonna set it up, right? In the high school league, you don't even have a shot clock. So what are we rushing for? We can take as long as we need to get a good shot. That's incredible. That's incredible. You can work on your offense all game if you need to in one possession. As long as you I mean, like that's four possessions in the game. Like, but at the end of the day, it requires the skills to be along there, good passing, outside passing along the perimeter, on the outside, the defense on the inside. You need to pass along the outside. Knowing these simple things gives you an advantage. Yes, the defense can now shoot the gap, but now the back door is available. It's giving them two options. You see what it is? When you do outside passing, now the defense has to reach outside. They have to go through that lane in order to get the pass. And now the back door is an option. Without passing the ball back out on the outside, the defense don't have to take a risk. They don't have to give more. That's what you need. That's what your pre-action is. Your pre-action is understanding why you're doing these things and what the counter is, what the simple option is. You give them two options. You're gonna give me the play or you're gonna give me the goal, right? And when you present those two options, when you're trained on those two options back here, then we see it clearly on the court, no matter no matter your expertise in basketball. When a random person comes into Starbucks and orders for the first time, they don't need to have been to Starbucks before to see organization or cleanliness or friendliness, right? Or niceness, right? You look on the basketball court, does it look like they're confused? That's because they are confused. Does it look like they're organized? That's because they are not organized, right? It's clear. You've been to a like you don't have to be an expert in basketball to see that. But when the players are trained and have been trained on it here, it's going to be evident out here, right? Regardless of the outcome, because you have stronger teams that just taller, da 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 da, just going to overpower, right? Overpower fundamentals, and that's why you can't always trust what you see in basketball, because some of these teams actually are working on things, right? And those two teams match at the end of the season, which shows something different. It's just that maybe they don't match, and sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. But to take advantage in basketball, I'm going to go over some keys. I've been working with high school basketball recently, and looking at high school basketball, and it's some very particular things a summer could completely change a lot of these players. But first and foremost, it comes back to understanding this book side of basketball that I've been talking about. Because that book side of basketball, a lot of basketball players either don't know exists, don't want to believe in it, think that somebody needs to convince them of an advantage, opportunity. This is what being a student of the game is talking about. Like, you have to respect the game. You don't respect the game, then you're gonna be that player your whole career. Like, no matter whether you go to the NBA or not. Like, I mean, being this player right here, it's not fun. Like, that's not the control in basketball. If I want to have done that for a reason, and I wanted to have controlled that. And I went to the basketball hoop wide open, right? And I want to have the control to do something else. When I got and you cut me off here, I'm going back over here, and I'm still getting to the hoop. Like, having the control behind basketball is a whole different player cycle, backdoor, because especially when you playing on a team that's organized to do these things, to understand it, that has been trained on the back end to come over here and do it on the front end. Everybody's being responsible, and the coach is holding them responsible because his system is complete. One apple over here, zero bananas, that equals $2. All right. You add a banana, we need to make sure that it is a different value than two, because that would contradict the system. We need to make sure that it's a different value so that we can understand how much that banana truly costs. So having these holes, these gaps, it's not only in systems, but it's also in players. Because just like we went over the post example, guards, guards are not finishing with their left hand, right? They're not they and I'm not talking about just finishing. When I talk about finishing, I'm talking about black or white, right? When you talk about black or white, it's a make or miss. Do they can they use the left hand 100%, or can they not? That's what it comes down to. Um, Understanding defense. So when let's go over, excuse me, how players can set themselves apart. We talked about this tug of war, right? We talked about the tug of war. Simply put, you have to be scoring. That means consistently scoring on offense, scoring on your man, scoring in practice, scoring in the game, whatever the case or situation might cause for. And then you have to be stopping your man on defense. So instead of this, where now you're scoring where he's not stopping you, but now he's not scoring, he's not moving over here. So who's being seen in the position? Who has the advantage of in the position? Who's helping the team more in the position? So that's the concept of competition. So if it's like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, then it's just the average and both ways. And that's what you see most of, and that's what a lot of coaches struggle most analyzing players with, because they can only go off what they see. That's also why a lot of leagues are struggling, because the hierarchy starts with what the coach sees, like knows, and what he accepts on the team, athletic director, whoever accepts on in the program as a coach, to now go and analyze the back and forth talent that's mostly out there, because your greats or your biggest talents, they snatched by your biggest schools. Like, I mean, like, sometimes not. So like your smaller schools and your mid majors and your some of them, the high ones struggle too because of all of this. Because even this in grades or attitude or like all these other sectors that really matter when you're recruiting a player and giving them a full scholarship. Like it's a big deal and they just don't do it. But let's get to the meat of why a lot of players either go lower than they should or don't get a shot at all. So your higher league politics. Politics is a part of it, right? So if you have those four spots, now they're now a lot of times um politically induced. Not saying that every school does it, but at the end of the day, you have a percent of open positions, right? And then you have coaches that rely on certain elements to get players in to go after new recruits or whatever the case might be. Um, and that just plays this a part, right? And I'm not saying it like it's a problem. I'm saying it like it's there because it is there. And I'm telling you as a player what it looks like, so I can get to my next point. So when we look at the industry and we see how strenuous it is and how the demand looks, you can easily see that you're going to need to break into the industry. So like when it comes, what is breaking into the industry? That means the industry is going to have to want you. You're going to have to be that strong. They have to go have to want you, right? So that comes down to all the different things, blah 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 blah, that you can add to a team in competition in competing, right? So that pace can't not be a shall not be a problem, like not going here, right? And even if you make it here with this problem, like it's such a, a strain to go to practice every day and be that player that far behind. I promise you. Like I've seen how they treat it, how they feel, like, and it's just almost not worth it. But so I got my own thing. I thought y'all could see me. My bad. This on? This on? Oh, y'all can see me. Good. All right. Yeah, it's almost a strain. So it's like every decision that you make is going to matter. Like what you focus on, because everything is based off what you believe. Like it's not even a so average you have in this block, and then you have how do you get past that block, right? And that's when you get here, you just need time for them to see you, right? Because you're gonna have the play set up for you. You're gonna have this, you're gonna have that. So at the end of the day, for a player, this is what it looks like. In your position, you have a role. Like it's clear guards need to be everybody needs to be ball handle oriented because taking advantage as a big man, that's one of the biggest advantages I had, but I did it the right way, right? I mastered the post first or even incorporate all of it when I had more time back in the beginning. But some of us up here, yes, we need to incorporate ball handling. We just need it's just essential. Um, Next thing is let's go down to understanding this big long square of understanding if I was making a presentation because on top of them would be all these different factors to keeping the player on the court. So first you're going to need skill to stay on the court. You got to have to work on skill the right way, the right way on the right side on the line, like whether it's shooting, whether it's dribbling, whether it's passing while you're moving because passing and catching right now are crazy in high school. Like understanding comes down to just skill, like understanding when it's a tool in the toolbox, right? And it's a forever moving game. At the end of the day, you got three decisions when you get the ball to pass your or shoot, and when and where to do that is essential. You shoot the ball when you're open, you pass the ball to the open man, you try to follow the system much as possible when it's When the defense has destructed it and you have to break it, you need the skill in order to do that. One on one in order to stay on the court. We're talking about how to keep your player on the court. Skill is the number one. Is basketball is a skill game. Shooting, yes, is very essential. I'm giving you that. Yes, it's very essential, but it does not override dribbling. Hence why when you displacing your time, you probably not going to want to put it in dribbling, but you're going to want to double down in dribbling, and then you want to go shoot with remaining time. Next, understanding this big long block. Why is it so long? Because you have skill, you have strength and conditioning, you have um your role responsibility. For example, you have to be a certain place, certain time, and you have to follow this structure, right? And in your position, it comes with different additional, like for example, pick and roll, like that additional movement, off ball movement, move without the ball. There you go, another skill. Like this, that skill is not always visual. If I would, when I go and I'm analyzing a player, I'm not just looking at. A lot of times, I'm not looking at. I'm looking at what he's doing in regard to what system I'm looking at. So if there is no system, then I'm not holding them to it. Right. But now I'm looking at how he reacting to all your other players. How like what does he know so far? What has he proven that he knows so far? So he's gonna do it consistently, he's gonna do it instinctively, he ain't worried about me. So again, the game is going to prove itself, but it's up to us to take what we see and make sense of and make it into fundamentals, co- fundamental concepts. Are they respecting the concepts, right? Low with the ball, how are they playing? Because at the end of the day, when we do these things, we're looking for a result. We're going to get something back, input output, right? When we do something differently, then we get that different output, then that's what beats us past that block, because not only do we have this, but we have that additional element put on our player that gives us that greater, even greater advantage, because it helps us with pace, that biggest block that people struggle with. And when you add on athleticism, and that's where it comes back to that long block of understanding that strength and conditioning, you add on athleticism, you have to do it safely. How do you stay on the court when you strength and conditioning? A lot of people get injured because they train the wrong way. You are a basketball player. You have to understand that it's not about how strong you are. It's not about all of this. It's about long and strong. You want your player to be long and strong. You want to be muscles to be long, and you want them to be strong. You don't want to be Mr. and Mrs. That's not like, and you see a lot of MCL, all these knee injuries. I had a very light one, but I never had an MCL or nothing big happen to me. Um, but it's essential that you understand how your player is needs to be designed and built in the weight room. And then you need to take the additional time to understand that you're going to have to do twice as much stretching to keep your player on the court as safe as possible, because we going hard, we're going instinctive, and the training that it takes here to push past that average is not easy, and it's not light. It's just done differently, safely, and it's very intense, very intense. Um, Understanding, right? So any injury that you get is going to take your player off the court for a long time, for an extended period of time. When you off the court, it stops the ability for like competition. You can't compete. You're not competing when nobody's seeing you, nobody's talking about you. You haven't. So like all of those things are what you need to stay relevant and competitive in basketball. So as far as the game goes, um, five things. Let's get into it. So I've been working with high school basketball players. I just wanted to say that last part because we on the fly, and I'm gonna do these on the fly because they're more more get a little bit more of insight on how I'm coming. I feel like five keys for high school players based on what I've seen. Be responsible offense and defense for your role. So your role is might come with a play, might not come with a play, right? But doing what you usually doing in practice is best. Um, um, if you have a system, you have to know when and how to use your skills within the system. That's what I'm talking about, versatility, and that's the hard part about basketball because you never know where you're gonna fall. Like when I went overseas, I played in over 10, 12 different systems. I played with that. That means I played with 10, 12 different types of players. I always had 1 year contracts. Um, I don't know. It wasn't like no team was a problem for me or nothing like that, or I was a problem. It was just like I was always ready for something new. So 10 different coaches, 10 different players and systems, and 4 different countries: Canada, France, Germany, and Iceland. And you see the different ways people try to get the advantage on offense or get the advantage on defense. And again, back to how it was brought up and like how who I wanted to be, I wanted to understand basketball. So that's what I was looking at, how they saw, and I saw the incompleteness in the systems. Matter of fact, I was a lot of times the glue or even patchwork in the systems that elevated their teams a lot of times. And that's what I love to do. I love to find out what's missing and um what needs to be how to create stability. So stability is stopping this, right? If we can stop this, then we create a baseline. And once we get that baseline, then we can push development, right? Because that baseline means that we have that understanding, right? Once we have that understanding, then we can hold responsible. Once we hold responsible, then we can push repetition for strength. Strength is going to be one of the biggest things because of pace. We competing with pace. The thing about it is pace doesn't get too much faster too much within like a short amount of time. It takes a long time, but it gets faster every year for sure. But that is really the easiest part. The hardest part is taking that fundamental concepts and incorporating it into that player, getting them to respect the game and the framework that it comes in. But yes, being responsible for your position, whether you're point guard, shooting guard, small forward, um, like any other attributes, whether small forwards, you getting rebounds, right? That's an attribute that's going to set you apart as a guard. Small forward is a very versatile position. Your forwards as a coach, I'm gonna give you this as a coach. You really need to watch your four position. Your four position is your nucleus to any basketball system. To any basketball system, your four is the nucleus. Why is your four the nucleus? Your four is like the Tacoma power truck, like Tacoma pickup truck. Like that thing could be powerful. You need to make sure you have like a power forward. And the reason behind it is because that man can give you 6 to 10 down low. He can give you 4 to possibly 10 offensive rebounds. He can give you transition buckets. He can give you pick and rolls. He can give you assists, steals on in press. And I'm combining the leagues when I talk about this, but at the end of the day, your power forward is and could be and how you train them. Like if you train and you put the necessary quirks and know how to tune up the truck, then you got that much stronger of like impact on the team result. So the power forward is a really strong position. Your point guard is It's very like, that's hands down, that's your motherboard in the computer. Like, he controls a lot and dictates a lot of the big squares like set, transition, zone, and press, right? He's going to either push transition or set it up a lot of times. He gets the ball for transition a lot of times. He's controlling a lot. So um having that point guard with the ability to control the basketball team is is 100% essential for a system. A shooting guard that plays defense. You want one that plays defense. Everybody on the court should be responsible for defense, 100%, and not just defense, but the defense, right? So a lot of times you will have to push your shooting guards athletically, in the weight room and in conditioning. Y'all be like, oh, we want to mess with the shot. If you know how to fine tune, you know how to keep that shot exactly where it's at and continue create that baseline push for development. Small forward, your small forward should be your most versatile player. Just like your power forward, your forwards, right there. That's your versatility, 100%. Um, it's just that they probably might not be your more back to the basket post up, even though any guard that has back to the basket capabilities, because I've been into all these different systems and played against all these different teams in those different systems, I've seen a good amount of point guard that can work down low. And I'm not talking about no tall ones. And I mean, I blocked them, but help side, but they were definitely worked out when they pulled me out. Sometimes, like they different systems. If you understand the system, what they do, then you can create the variations to create different things. But yes, be responsible offense and defense. That means your team defense, your one-on-one defense, understanding how to push baseline. Baseline is going to take away that big gap of the court. That means your right lane need to be strong, your left lane need to be strong. Those are your push foots. I'm talking about, my bad. Your push foots, how you pushing. So a lot of times one leg will be stronger than the other one, and you're gonna have to really work on that off leg. Closing out, another key. All of these things are those little branches outside of your player that's like for for competition, use for competition. The next thing is going to be um, skills above average. So shooting, dribbling, passing, how you do it above average. I'm not gonna go deep into that one. How you do things being above average. We talked about two basic ones for dribbling, shooting, how you do it. You got to break the shot down into simple inputs and outputs so that you can go back into a simple correction in order to get a more consistent outcome. Um, Repetition is key in shooting. Um, we talked about having both a left and right. I say that in the sense of having your head up, dribbling, being able to pass, no matter what hand the ball is in, and change direction. Change direction is huge in high school basketball. If you are changing directions on the player, getting experience doing that in practice first and bringing it to the game instinctively, that is going to and training on it beforehand before you get to practice. And but like that that is going to be your process right there. You're going to be training on the back end outside practice. You're going to incorporate the skill and you're going to bring it into practice or bring it into a free play environment where you now hone in on the skill with somebody on you in a safe environment. And then it's going to become a game, something that may be incorporated into is going to progressively incorporate into your tool bag. The more you get the confidence in using it. Um, in front of pace is your goal. So with all your skills, whether it's shooting, dribbling, in front of pace, if once you get in front of pace, you're gonna release so much pressure from your player. That means in front of the pace of the game, you cannot be reactive to the basketball. Once the basketball gets you, man, you have to be either there, getting the steal, like that, denying. When you deny, that means you are now breaking their play or disrupting their play. It takes more time than it usually would now to run the play, something different. When you have time, when time is a factor, that means what could have happened now didn't happen. So that player has now, or that, yeah, that person has now created a different reaction than the original result or probability could have been. It changes it at that point. So even noticing that is visual, but it digs into the concept. If their play is the pass here, go screen down, go screen away, and on the screen away, he get denied coming up. Now they can't. The play is now stopped for a moment, and something else either has to happen or you have to wait long to get the ball. That's huge. Concept on defense, and players have big potential to disrupt set plays. Um, and lastly, as a high school player, it's to get anything in basketball, you have to do it consistently. And when I mean it consistently, I mean when you take competition in as what it is with all those lines where rebounding steals, the offense, defense, one on one defense, offense, change of direction, rebounding, um, offensive, defensive rebounding, I mean, like moving without the basketball, back doors, high lows, running the offense, or controlling the basketball, dribbling, shooting, passing, like all of these like little tiny elements of competition, all of those things combined create this competitive player. And you, everything you do has to be consistently above that next player in order for you to get your goal. If you want to start, that means you have to be consistently winning this battle. That means you have to be stopping him and scoring on him consistently in order for you to win that position. Because at this time, the coach has trust in this player. So you're going to have to do something so much more to build that trust in you. And that's how you do it. So consistency, that comes in practice, that comes in the game, same concept. All right. That goes for college. When I went to college, I had to do that consistently to get my starting position early on in college freshman year. Now, nowadays it's a lot easier. A lot of days they recruit for it, but I don't know, but yeah, actually it's probably I don't know. College, I'm gonna stop there, but yeah, that those are my five keys. So both left and right. You change the direction, strong left hand, strong right hand, left and right, dribbling, head up, and finishing left and right at the basket, right? That means 100%. Can I do it? Can I not do it? In front of pace. Are you in front of pace or are you not in front of pace? Being responsible, offense, defense. Do you understand the offense or do you not understand do you understand the offense? Do you not understand the offense? Do you understand the defense? Do you not understand the defense? Are you moving on pace with the offense? Or are you moving or not on move? Are you moving on pace with the defense? Are you not moving? Right. So everything comes back to here. That's how you analyze it. You have to be honest with yourself so you know what you need to push and work on. Skills above average. Are your skills ready? Passing, dribbling, what do you need? Are they not right? Consistently, are you doing them purely consistently, 100%, or are you not? All right, that was my Masters of Fundamental breakdown. Sorry, I didn't get to make a presentation. Maybe I'll make one off of this. Um, come on, like you got this. Leave some comments, like if you like the video and it helped.